Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm feeling hot today. Gary, are you there? Gary? Ladies and gentlemen, the XRP Army has been 100% vindicated. The SEC has surrendered, and we have won. Today, the case has been dismissed against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, and the SEC made a very serious mistake going after Brad and Chris Larson personally. Now they've capitulated. They dismissed all charges against Ripple executives. This is not a settlement. This is a surrender by little old Gary. This may very well be the most embarrassing abomination of a loss I've ever seen from the SEC. And here, Jeremy Hogan says it best. For all intents and purposes, this case is over. And the XRP community and Ripple thoroughly dominated.
Even after a trial, there's always motions and briefs and appeals. But keep in mind that this case is pretty much over. From a standpoint, like, if I was the lawyer on this case and, I'm just letting my associates do all the briefing and the litigating from this point forward, I'm putting this file away. And it might come out 3 or 4 years ago from my file cabinet, but it might not. And, even though there's going to be things happening here in the next couple of months, there's going to be briefs and hearings and these things filed, just always keep in mind that this case, for all intents and purposes, from a realistic standpoint, is over.
You heard it out of the mouth of Jeremy Hogan himself. For all intents and purposes, this case is over. And ladies and gentlemen, this, on the heels of Gary Gensler coming out yesterday with a change of tune. He came out in consideration of Bitcoin ETFs getting passed. And ladies and gentlemen, I could sense a change in the air. Gary has been a tyrannical imbecile, for lack of a better term, while he's been at the SEC. But now, he's waving the white flag to his reign of tyranny, and he's beginning to get things done. Somebody, I'm certain, got in his ear. But I believe the next step in regards to this XRP case, now that Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson are freed, is to finally see a settlement. This case is over, but there are some details they need to iron out. And I believe that once these details get ironed out, the shackles that have been put on the XRP price will be released. Guys, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think we're all about to like it. One thing I have to say, though, is imagine how Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson felt when right before Christmas they got sued and accused of fraud. John Deaton breaks down how happy they should be because Ripple and the XRP community have been unjustly targeted. And now, after 3 years of having our profits and time wasted, we have been vindicated.
Listen to the noise in the complaint. It was a non-fraud case, but they intentionally used fraud-like language to inflame people in the industry, a pure divide and conquer strategy that worked at the time. And I just want, I'm hoping that Garlinghouse and Larson are truly enjoying this victory tonight, because that couldn't have been a fun time.
Now, guys, you tell me if you have extreme confidence in a company like Ripple, who right before Christmas, before they're spending time with family, before they're going on vacations, just gets slapped with a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit, because that's what it is. The SEC is likely, despite their horrendous ethics and despite all of the effort, are still going to get a massive payday. Not only that, the big problem I have is that the SEC has an eternal war chest. They're taxpayer funded. They can use the unlimited resources of the government, while Ripple had to go into their treasure chest. They had to dip into their funds that they could have been using to acquire more companies like Medico. Ladies and gentlemen, $100+ million in legal fees. And God bless the lawyers that were defending Ripple. We had former chairs of the SEC defending Ripple because they knew they wanted to be on the right side of history. Oh, Mary Jo White is looking real good right now. But Gary Gensler is going to have a similar legacy to the one he had at the CFTC. The CFTC right now is struggling to try and regulate crypto because of the weakness they exhibited during Gary Gensler's time at the CFTC. And now, I think that same level of power is going to be lost from the SEC, and they're going to lose the right to regulate the crypto space. They tried it, and they lost. And now, guys, from me to you, one of my favorite people in the XRP community, Derek, has purchased his own Fuck the SEC t-shirt. And guys, what I'm working on to showcase everybody that's worn this t-shirt is going to be hilarious. But it's going to be worth it. Guys, if you haven't already, please get your Fuck the SEC t-shirt on my Aggressively Average Apparel website. And you can find the link to that down in the description below. Because at this point, it's just a massive symbol of everything we've gone through. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to cap off this video for today, I'm going to give you one of the most important little messages and insights into my intrusive thoughts. Guys, we just witnessed a number of things all happen in sequence. We just witnessed this Bitcoin ETF news release break, which was actually fake, but that liquidated a legendary amount of shorts. That lost people a lot of money. And borderline, that's illegal. Technically it is, but not for them. In addition, we just witnessed Gary Gensler yesterday talk about a Bitcoin ETF approval, talking about the applications and saying he's reviewing them. That's a change of tone. And then today, the Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson suit marks the waving of the white flag for Gary. Guys, the SEC has lost its power and we're going to go on a bull run. My original hypothesis was that November into April is a great window to see that gradual price appreciation. It's looking more and more like April is where we're going to be peaking. It's looking like we're finally out of this holding pattern we've been in. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the best news. But what I'm posting in my next video is going to be showing you the significance of November. I've been telling all of you that November is the most important month as far as the adoption of this new financial system we've ever experienced. We're witnessing these ISO upgrades, SWIFT, and now they're introducing the digital euro this November as well. And I don't think that event is coincidence with the events of the SEC and Ripple in any way, shape, or form.
The euro is much more than our single currency. For over 2 decades, it has helped bring stability and growth to Europe, embodying our shared values. But in an ever more digital world, our euro needs to evolve. Let's get ready for a digital euro. We will still have our banknotes and coins, but a digital euro would mean more choice at our fingertips, offering the highest privacy standards and making it accessible to everyone across the euro area. A digital euro would also strengthen Europe's autonomy in the digital world, making our payments sector more resilient. It could become a reality. Let's embrace the digital era with a digital euro.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I was right when I said that the conflicts in the Middle East, compounded with Russia-Ukraine, will be a catalyst for crypto to do well. I 100% believe these conflicts are bullish for crypto. And at the exact same time, what I want to tell every single one of you is the fact that we're prepared for it. The digital euro and other CBDCs will be gradually being pushed to the masses as a solution for the problems they caused. Problem reaction solution. We're 100% on it. And for every single one of you, I need you to remember that times of inflation allow for great opportunity. But apparently, according to the elites, we have won against inflation. These economists and financial pundits that are controlled by the elite want to manipulate all of you. The media is there to bet against you while telling you the narrative that makes you lose. But we have the eyes to see, and we're aware of what's going on. We've deciphered the lizard talk thoroughly, and there's no way we're going to be beaten. Holding XRP as the digital asset to benefit most during this next coming cycle will be a cheat code. And I can't wait for every single one of us to be partying when the price finally reaches where we expected it to. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. I'll leave you with this clip from Peter St. Ong, better describing the state of the world, as I've had him on my channel before. And I think he's one of the most informative and open-minded economists telling the truth about what's going on in the world today. Now guys, I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
A few days ago, Nobel laureate Paul Krugman, one of the more embarrassing laureates, was being roasted for a tweet he put out saying, quote, "The war on inflation is over. We won at very little cost." Before getting into the cost that was not paid by Paul Krugman, it's worth taking a moment to appreciate the sheer mendacity of Paul's little chart crime here, one that my colleague E.J. Antoni noted would make Goebbels blush at its dishonesty. So here it is in all its glory. First, note Paul's very pleasing slope on the curve. Bit of a scare in the beginning, then a gradual decline that ends spot on the Fed's target 2% inflation rate. Jerome Powell is just that good. Sadly, however, we then turn to the X and Y axes. Up top is what's actually being counted here. Turns out this is not inflation, this is Krugman's imaginary friend, taking the consumer price index and stripping out food, energy, housing, rent, and used cars. I literally had to check if it was a joke, but no, this is the state of Nobel economics in 2023. The fun does not end there because we still have the y-axis over there on the left side. Turns out this is not even annual change. No, this is 6-month change at annual rate, which you get by taking the last 6 numbers and squaring it. Why would you do that, you ask? Because that's the only way to get the slope. Actually imagine Paul burning the midnight solar panels, sloping out 3 months to the 4th power, 4 months cubed, 5.5 months, a partridge in a pear tree. I know it is very embarrassing when your imaginary friend still needs a 6-month annualized chart. So what happens if you use an honest chart? Here's the numbers direct from the Federal Reserve for the last 12 months. Notice we haven't won diddly. In fact, it's getting worse, with the most recent 2 months averaging a 6% pace of inflation. Next, have a gander at core inflation, which is the Fed's favorite indicator for underlying inflation. It strips out food and energy, which always struck me as suspicious, since those are the 2 categories that make voters angriest. Still, even if we take the Fed at its word, notice the distinctly unpleasing slope. Core had a one-night stand below 2% back in June, July, and now it is back to rising. Now, Paul has been in the game a long time. He knows darn well that the Fed publishes all these statistics every single month. He knows he had to sit alone in a basement and crank out homebrew CPI with goal-seek months, and he knows why he did it, because for the same reason he does it all. He is a paid shill who owes it all, including even the Nobel Prize, to licking the correct boots in the correct order. So what is next? Brought to you by Unchained. What's next is the worse things get, the more they will lie. Biden, Powell, Yellen, they all have a literal army of prestigious PhD economists who stand the wall ready to suppress any opinion, sugarcoat any statistic, gaslight any voter they come across. It's an industrial-scale disinformation campaign, all generously funded by your tax dollars to be weaponized against you. It will not stop until it is defunded, starting with the very universities that employ people like Paul Krugman. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.